This episode of the NFL Show on the S.O.S Sports Podcast Network, brought to you by the one, the only First Round Collectibles. Right now, with promo code SPORTS10, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. That's right, promo code SPORTS10, 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. Their ongoing sale is over. However, they have a WWE WWF card sale on right now, featuring a 1995 Stone Cold Steve Austin and many, many more. 25% off a number of WWE/WWF cards. Once again, featuring a 95 Stone Cold Steve Austin and many more. Go to firstruncollectibles.com today. Promo code 10% off your order, including 25% off selected WWE WWF cards. Firstruncollectibles.com, promo code sports10, and Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media. Always appreciate them having us on board. Their Total Apex Media site is under construction right now. However, TotalApexSports.com, your home for everything basketball on the backside of these seasons in the NFL, obviously getting ready for the playoffs. Baseball pitchers reporting any day now. Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media. Now, on to the show. Welcome to the NFL Show on the S.O.S Sports Podcast Network. I am Mark Sauter. He is Javid Joe. This is the NFL Show. It is good to be back. Lots to get into today. Black Monday strikes again. And of course, the playoffs right around the corner. Two sleeps, as I say to my son when he is desperately asking to do something that he knows we're going to do. I have to tell him how many sleeps are left, or else he thinks it's happening in the next 5 minutes. And that is the case for the NFL playoffs. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I guess they're not calling it super wild card anymore. They dropped that. It's just wild card again.
Yeah, I don't know. So Pat McAfee still calls it Super Wild Card Weekend, and as long as he's going to call it, I'm going to call it that too.
I like it. Joe, how we doing on a football Thursday, man?
Very, very interesting happenings during this week. Usually you get a couple of teams trying to interview some assistants, trying to get in those interviews before the playoffs start, because then they can't talk again for another 2 weeks. So you already see that happening throughout the league. It's going to be very interesting seeing how some of these assistants that are still still cooking out there are balancing that while also getting prepared for this weekend.
Absolutely. Now, just to double back quickly to the ad read for First Round Collectibles, as I said, the ongoing sale that I've been promoting for over a year now is officially over. However, they have a sale on wrestling cards, 25% off selected wrestling cards. Wrestling, is that your thing? I don't want to
I love
like.
me some wrestling.
I
Love
don't
me
want
some
to.
wrestling.
Yeah, eh? I listen. I'll promote the cards. First round collectibles. Excellent operation they have over there. Not my jam. Wrestling was never my thing. Um, but hey, if it is your thing, first round collectibles, 25% plus 10%. Uh, that equals 35%, Joe. Promo code sports10.
Can't miss. May have to look at it. Stone Cold was my mom's favorite. Used to be mine back in the day.
Oh yeah. Well, he was the guy that I would talk about when I wanted to pretend that I knew what wrestling was. I knew him. So I just talked about him and could normally skate by any conversation. But anyway, quickly we digress. Let's get into it. Before we get into the games, and as we get into the games, we'll look back on the games that are necessary from the week that was. But let's talk about it, man. Black Friday strikes again. 8 vacancies now in the NFL as far as head coaches go. I'm probably going to miss one, but the Dolphins, as recently as today, the Raiders, the Browns, the Giants, um, the Falcons, already missing them. The Titans, lots and lots of opportunity. The Ravens, which I think is one that the Ravens one is like one that we saw coming, yet still surprised, at least for me. Like I saw it coming, but still was like, oh snap, they actually did it. They actually let him go. By the way, my Ravens friend is at it again now that they lost. Um, the trade scenarios that are coming out of this guy's mouth. I gotta check out like Ravens Reddit and see if my buddy is just an idiot or if this is actually, something that's going on. But anyway, uh let's get into it, man. You've been following this closely. What's your original thoughts? Obviously, the Mike McDaniels one came down today. What are your thoughts kind of as the dust settles on Black Monday, and on the firings that happened literally as early as Sunday night?
Yes, I mean, some of the scuttlebutt that I'm reading on the websites, and talk radio and things of that nature, um, Stephen Ross is actually pretty torn about McDaniel. Loves his offensive mind. Loved how the tenure started, with the first 2 seasons and having playoff entries, but um me personally, this part I didn't read or hear, but I think when you're interviewing GM candidates, I don't think they want to be handed a coach that says, "Hey, listen, this I really kind of want to keep this guy." Um, so I think it was going to be hard to retain him and then also find a quality runner of your football operation. So I think I'm surprised that it didn't happen together at once. But also, when you hear about, how Stephen Ross did like McDaniel, you kind of see how it may have taken a while to go ahead and make that move. But I think that's going to be pretty interesting. I will say with the Ravens job opening up, that goes straight to the top of the list to me. I think that's a position where
Of course. Yeah.
you have a multiple MVP quarterback waiting there. That's something you want to operate with. I think any coach in waiting or when they're surveying the landscape, they're going to look at the quarterback first and then everything else. Because you just can't win in this league without a quarterback. I think that's you don't anybody with a brainstem knows that. So that's why you got to shoot the Ravens all the way to the top. And I think right behind that, not to toot my own horn, but right at the top underneath the Ravens, I gotta think it's the Giants. The Giants have pass rushers galore. Okay. You have a quarterback that you think you can build. You have a running back that's killer vibes in the locker room, but also very productive while he was out there. I mean, he really gives Mike Allstott, he gives kind of like that bulky pinball, I'm gonna knock you over type running attack. And personally, I hope they keep Tracy as kind of like the second option, the
I
quicker
do too.
back.
Yeah.
I think the combination of them two can be really solid. Um, I think we overpaid for Singletary, but when you look at our GM, he drafted him over in Buffalo, so you understand why they made that decision. But I think you keep Tracy, you keep Scatterboo, you got Dart there, Malik Neighbors, you hope is ready for the season, but Scuttlebutt says he may not be ready for the beginning of the season. Even so, you get him a month into the season, you've got your guys on the offensive side of the ball, and then you've got some pass rushers. You shore up that secondary, and you get some linebackers that actually know how to fill in gaps, and you could be a problem. You could be a problem. And we're drafting 5th. So that means we're going to be drafting towards the top on every round of the draft. So I would put my Giants second right underneath the Ravens, and we'll see which one of these guys go where. But to your point about the Ravens job, I think everybody had a feeling that the winner of that 8 o'clock game last Sunday was going to keep their job, and the loser was not going to be there. And it just so happened that in crushing fashion, the Ravens lose that game, and subsequently Harbaugh loses the job.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about it. I think it was the best thing because, listen, man, the Steelers are just going to Steelers. They're just always, I have settled with this fact. My father-in-law is a massive Steelers fan. We talk about this all the time, where he has just now conceded the fact that this team will never be great. They will always just be good enough, and they'll get smoked in the first round, which might not happen this year, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I don't know, man. You say that whoever won that game, and you're not the only one. I've heard that whoever won that game kept their job. I am just not convinced that the Steelers, I don't know. I just feel like Tomlin, they might have to hire someone to take Tomlin off the earth, if you know what I mean. Might be the only way that they can fire him. I don't know if they're. I know.
That is the most Jordan. That's the most Jordan thing you've ever said.
I know. He's rubbing off on me. I don't know. His crazy tweets are rubbing off on me. Speaking of Jordan, where is that guy? He's liking and retweeting all my stuff, and I don't see him anymore. But no, man, I just the big thing for me, I feel like losing that game was really important for Baltimore, just to look at themselves in the mirror. That's my point. Is I think the Steelers were gonna just do what they do no matter what happened. That's my opinion. For Baltimore, I think now is the time to really look yourselves in the mirror and say, okay, like, what are we? What do we think we can be? And enter the offseason accordingly. For your Giants, this is a waste of time to even bring this up, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's not going to happen. But I was thinking about this over the weekend. I don't know why. I saw a tweet or a video or something, and it kind of jogged my mind. You're talking about the vibes in the locker room for the Giants. The perfect coach for you. If you could just think about the Dart Scatterboo vibes, and now think about the best coach for those vibes. Just vibes. Who comes to mind? I'm curious if you'll catch on to this. Any coach doesn't have to be available. Any coach in the NFL right now.
Ooh, any coach. You can give me any coach.
Fitting the vibes. Forget about the playbook, the winning. I'm just talking about the frat boy vibes. Who's the best fit for that scenario?
Oh, frat boy vibes. Now you're talking about his old coach and Lane Kiffin. If you're talking about frat boy vibes.
Oh, not that frat boy. Not that. And I'm not talking about like Urban Myers either. No, man.
I don't
Oh, you
know,
got to
man.
guess?
For me, if I had a pick of anyone that's out there, give me KOC, but I don't think that's the tree you're barking up.
No. He's too professional. No. I'm talking about the one, the only Dan Campbell, man. I think those guys with biting off kneecaps, I just think it's a match made in content heaven. I'm not saying it would be good. I'm not saying, I mean, it might be good. I'm not like Dan Campbell's a great coach. I'm not saying, I'm just saying sheerly on like post game, you think Ben Johnson tarps off? You think that's entertaining? Yo, Dan Campbell with Scatterboo and Dart at the end of a game. That is just vibes on another level, man.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
So with the Dolphins, I'm curious about this because the Dolphins, I think, are in free fall in many ways. Tyreek Hill, we don't even know if he's in like America still. Like what's going on with that guy? When it comes to the Dolphins, to me, I just think like will Tua even be around much longer? Who knows? I feel like we're on the cusp of just tearing it down to the studs. I think more than anything for me as a fan, okay, if you're talking X's and O's, you're talking football, like legitimate on the field, off the field, that's your department. As a fan, I just think when you're winning, Mike McDaniels is awesome. And when you're losing, that shtick gets old in a hurry. And I just think it's time to go. Like if you're like 12-5 every year making it to the playoffs, you can put up with that Pablo going on down there. But if you're losing all the time, if you're losing all the time,
Pablo S.
dude, he just isn't it? Bro,
so
the guy's just he looks like he's up to something. I'll leave it at that. But I'm just saying, if you're winning, you can put up with it as a fan. But if you're not, it's like turn the TV off. I can't listen to this guy yap any longer.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. And we've talked about this. We've talked about this during the season, like looking at press conferences from the past and then looking at it during this season. I will say towards the last half of the season when crap's hitting the fan, your boss just got fired, like all that kind of jazz going on. Definitely a tamer, like a little bit maybe borderline depressed guy at the press conferences. Okay, so we'll say those when the winning stops, so did his shtick. Okay, so let's be honest and give credit where it's due. He was not bringing that same kind of energy, and to a certain extent, you almost. Here's the thing, right? And we've said this about a guy on my team, in that kind of like same ilk. It's great when Russell Wilson's passing for touchdowns and not throwing the ball to the other team. His shtick's all right, but when he's not playing like he did against Dallas, that shtick, same thing. Same thing with McDaniel. So he did get far more serious towards the latter half of the year. And hey, listen, as far as I'm concerned, as far as anyone's concerned, it's in the record books. You can't change it. He finished the year with a 4-game winning streak. Okay.
Yeah.
The guy can coach offensive football. Okay. Do you trust him with your ball club? I'm not sure. Very mid when you look at the totality of his Dolphins tenure, but you're telling me any of those 8 teams with a vacancy, when they get a coach in there, you're telling me that not one of them is going to call Mike McDaniel and have them try to run their offense? You're telling me that one of those guys, he has a guaranteed OC job by the end of this coaching cycle. Disagree or not? Right? So, you think Washington isn't thinking, oh, man, get him around Jaden Daniels? Terry McLaurin? He had 3 backs this year that very easily could have went out for 100 at any point during the season. Devin Achane, He's had guys in there, Raheem Mostert. He's had 1,000-yard rushers in his running back column just about every year he's been with the Dolphins. So you're telling me he can't find a running back that's going to cook for Washington and bring them back up again? That would be my first call if I'm Washington right now.
I mean, so first of all, that's the one thing about Miami that I was actually really impressed with. And as much as we've, talked smack about them throughout the season, and
Yeah.
as much as I didn't believe in them coming into the season, and really it's just Tua. Like, they had other issues other than Tua, but I just never bought into this guy. And I was proved right with him yet again this year, me amongst many others.
Yeah.
But I just really appreciated the fight, man. Like, they could have tanked this season hard back in like early November. And they found a way just to get some wins and to play hard, and they were relevant. Like, they were relevant like the Cowboys were relevant, like they were mathematically there. Like, it's not like they were ever really going to go on a run, but they were hanging around at least mathematically for a while. Yeah. When you talk about McDaniels, now I might be kind of like I don't know, galaxy braining this a little bit. But do you think, and again, I'm not trying to be funny, but it is funny. Do you think his vibe, now that the vibe of Mike has been unleashed, do you think it's too big for him to be a coordinator? Like, do you think, like, I'm just picturing him walking around with the clipboard and the music blaring and that ridiculous swagger he has in his step. Do you think that's kind of would overshadow a coach that he comes under? You don't think so, eh?
No, I don't think so. To understand where I'm coming from, you have to understand his story a little bit, and he's talked about it. Like he's come on the Pat McAfee show a couple of times, but I've been able to also do kind of like a deep dive on who he is as a coach and how he, goes about his business, like his sobriety, like his showing up to work on time was actually a struggle at one point. He actually had a kind of like a come to Jesus moment in his professional career. I believe a little bit after the Washington situation. I want to say he was under Kubiak and the Texans when Kubiak was with the Texans, and he was kind of like in danger of being out of the league because he was just, that Pablo Escobar that you talk about, he was living it to a certain extent. And a guy that kind of helped them get back on track, believe it or not, is Dan Quinn of the Commanders. So they have a bit of a connection, which makes that situation even more attractive as far as his next landing spot. I think that experience just in his life as a person definitely humbled him, and I don't think it would be at all a big deal to take a coordinator job. He's super young too, right? So like when you think about it, like it would totally make sense to just, if he's gonna get back in there, to take an OC job, kind of reestablish his kind of like credibility as a coach, maybe not a head coach, but just like a coach of offensive football, kind of get everybody reacquainted with the fact that, hey, listen, Dolphins kind of ended crap. I get it, but let me have a quarterback that can really cook, and let me show you what this looks like when I have a quarterback that can really cook. Because what happened with Tua, right? It for a certain period of time within the last 2-3 seasons, it was Tua and Trevor Lawrence, and which one would win the mid-off, right? Because that was the comp when Tua came up to get paid get paid from after his rookie deal. His comp was the Trevor deal. And now as we're looking at it, Trevor's preparing for a wild card game right now. And we don't know where Tua is going to be next year, but we know where he's not going to be. And that's the Miami Dolphins. So when it comes to that, I think when you look at Mike McDaniel, I think perfect situation for him, again, based on the relationship that he has with Dan Quinn outside of football. That's the perfect spot for him to reestablish his value, get Jaden Daniels back on track. I think he can sell that to Jaden Daniels. So he can be like, hey, listen, he can cook on offense. He can make things happen. He's going to have Deebo Samuel so wide open. He's going to have Terry McLaurin so wide open. Like, he can sell that to him, because reports are there's a lot of people on the offensive side of the ball in Washington not exactly thrilled with the fact that Kingsbury is not the OC anymore. So I think if he wants his star quarterback to kind of like believe again, and you have a relationship with an offensive mind like Mike McDaniel, I think it just makes sense. And I think Mike McDaniel, because of his relationship, he's going to have a nice comfort level with his role, with his position there. He's not going to be, he's not going to feel the need to, he just gets to coach football. He just gets to coach offensive football. And we've said this about coordinators in the past and guys who just had the head coaching role, didn't work out, went back to be a coordinator. It's like, you know what? I like this here. I like it here. I like this in my nice little box. Vic Fangio for your team likes his nice little box as a defensive coordinator. Oh, yeah. It didn't work as a head coach, but you know what he can do? He can coach defense. And you know what? He's probably carrying the Philadelphia Eagles right now, because when you look at that offense, who knows? And we'll get into that. But that for me would be the perfect fit. McDaniel with the Commanders, and I don't think it's a huge, like, I don't think his personality would even be remotely a factor.
I love it. I could also see, I don't want to call it foolish, because I do like McDaniel and I do think that he was successful up to a point, right? Like you said. I for whatever reason, I can see the Raiders just making a rash decision and paying him a bunch of money because he's a personality and they need to bring some sort of life to that organization. But before we move on, I think an underrated opening, and again, I don't know. This isn't me knowing a bunch about this. This is just me watching the games and just from the outside. I think the Tennessee Titans are an underrated opening. I think there were a lot of games, not a lot of, there were a good chunk of games that were lost because of stupid coaching decisions. Like literally, like, decisions right before the half. Like, just not that there was a great team. Maybe if they made better decisions, they wouldn't have won anyway. There was at least like 3 or 4 losses that were directly attributed to just bad coaching. And so that's one that I'm really curious. They have some studs on the defense. I think Cam Ward did enough to, prove that he deserves at least another shot, right? So I'm curious to see what happens there. Anything else in the coaching world that caught your eye before we move on?
Well, I mean, we can move on. The one last thing I'll say is that we may have 8 openings right now, but after wild card weekends, we might have a couple more.
That's a great point. Who do you think needs to win to keep their job this weekend?
I mean, if not now, when? With the Buffalo Bills, right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like
I've been saying that for half the season.
I think if you're the ownership, if you're the Pagulas looking at going into a new stadium, what does the next half of Josh Allen's career look like? if you start losing in the first round of the playoffs, or if you start not making the playoffs, that sort of thing, that's in essence going backwards. And it happening this year would be even more of a detriment, because you're not looking at a Lamar Jackson down the road. You're not looking at a Patrick Mahomes down the road. That's not to say that the teams that did make it aren't good, but you're continual roadblocks to your ultimate success are not in the postseason right now. So if they were to get out in the first round, I would see that as a step back, and then Brandon Beane would really have a decision to make, I think, moving forward, if this is the right man to lead him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for half the year. I honestly, man, like I don't think this is necessarily fair. However, I I I don't even know if I fully believe this. I'm leaning Super Bowl appearance or bust for McDermott. Like I'm leaning, like, if he doesn't get through till at least be in the Super Bowl, I think it's time to really think about it. And the conversations are out there, who do you replace? Who this, who that? Well, now that Harbaugh, I mean, listen, man, like, I don't know. Is that a great fit? Like, that's a conversation for another time. I don't know enough to say, is Josh Allen with John Harbaugh? John? Which Harbaugh? I can't keep
John,
these guys. This John.
John's the one without a job. Yes.
Yeah, I can't keep it straight. I just like, is that a good fit for Allen? And I don't know. We can talk about that. I'm just saying, like, that is a conversation that we talked about literally a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is, if you fire McDermott, who do you replace him with? Well, now there's a guy that we can at least talk about. I don't know. I just think listen, we're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills. I think that Josh Allen has to be heroic for 4 straight games. I don't like where this team is at heading into the play. You have James Cook. I think you have James Cook. I think you have Josh Allen. I don't know what else you have. Now, to the Bills' advantage, both those players are very, 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 very good. And Josh Allen, in my opinion, is the most talented player in the league. So, not the worst situation. I don't think that McDermott has 5-star ingredients that he's playing with right now, which is why I don't think this is entirely fair to him. At the same time, no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Joe Burrow. Like, now's your time, man. Like, if not now, when? At the beginning of the season, I predicted Bills and Eagles. I don't know if I'm going to stick with that prediction or not. We'll see what happens. But all right, moving on. Because, yeah, man, I think, like, Shanahan is safe. I think Sirianni is safe. McVay, safe. There's not too many others, at least off the top of my mind.
2 for me.
I think that is
2
and
for me.
okay. Who's the other?
For me, it's Sean McDermott on the AFC side, Matt LaFleur on the NFC side. Those are the 2.
Okay, that's a good one. Interesting. Speaking of the devil, Super Bowl or bust for Buffalo, our guy Jordan. Welcome back to the show, bud. Good to see you. He talked about this guy. Gannon a clown. Harbaugh been washed. McDaniel's another clown. I'm shocked, Bulls. That's an interesting one. I'm a little bit shocked as well. And I think I want to move on to the games. But I think this is a conversation maybe for the week after the conference championships. I don't know. This is an interesting conversation.
Mhm.
I know there were injuries, and I know that Mayfield wasn't 100% for a lot of the season. That meltdown in Tampa Bay, man. Like that, I'm glad, honestly. And it's so funny. Like, I love Baker. I think he's a great guy from what I can tell, not knowing him even a little bit. I always cheer for him. I want him to do well. I it's so funny how the first 6 weeks, first 6 weeks of the season, we're talking this guy as the most valuable player. And now I'm glad that Carolina's in the playoffs. Like I don't think, I just even if Carolina gets their doors blown off, which I'm not convinced they will, I actually do think they're going to be competitive, and we'll talk about that game in a couple minutes. I just feel like Tampa Bay is if I don't know, if the Panthers and the Bucks are both evil, then the Bucks are the worst of the two evils. And I just think Carolina is a better product at this point. I was not impressed with Tampa Bay, and I don't think they deserved it. And I also sorry, I'm kind of on a rant right now. This is not even about the Bucks. How anticlimactic was this whole the Bucks and the Panthers play on Saturday, and we don't get to see any celebration from the Panthers. We got to wait 24 hours before we know. Like, the Panthers have sucked forever. Like, for so long. The Panthers are awful, brutal. Bryce Young, bust. Oh, no, wait, he's good. Oh, wait, no, he's a bust. Like, the storylines on the negative side of things coming out of Carolina have been terrible. Their owner is a nut job. Like, there's so much going on down there that has been awful. And this team made it to the playoffs. And we don't even get to see any sort of acknowledgement or celebration or nothing. It's just crickets because it's 24 hours later. I don't know. In the age of flexing games in and out, like, the fact that those games were on different days to me is stupid. I hated it.
Well, I think how that worked out, I think if there wasn't the additive that and part of this is the Bucks' fault, but if there wasn't that additive to where the Bucks could win the game but also still miss the playoffs, then this is a non-conversation. Then we know finitely that day Bucks win, oh, they're in, right? It wasn't a win and you're in situation like the Baltimore-Pittsburgh game was. And that had to do with the tiebreak. That had to do with just how the tiebreak worked out amongst the three teams. Atlanta finished with the same record as Carolina, finished with the same record as Tampa Bay.
That's so disgusting.
But had no shot to make
terrible division that is. Oh my gosh.
Traditionally, it's been the worst. Traditionally, it's been whoever won the South was always the number 4 seed. Traditionally.
I get what you're 100%. I get what you're saying. But this is the time of year where games are changed all the time. Like, I don't think Pittsburgh and Baltimore was originally Sunday night, was it? I don't think so. I think it was different. Anyway, whatever.
Honestly,
I don't want to waste.
I can't remember, but I just know that little nugget of how it worked out to where Atlanta had a piece to play in this chessboard had a lot to do with your pain on Saturday.
Yeah. And Atlanta, that's another, like, don't even get me started on this stupid team. Like, if you didn't lose to the Jets, you're in the playoffs right now. Congratulations.
Yeah.
That team, man. Like, just pure stupidity over there. All right, let's move on to your super duper wild card weekend. That's what they're calling it now. They are off the super, and now it's super duper wild card weekend in the NFL. Let's start with the Los Angeles Rams in Carolina. Because Carolina, we see you. You are seen. You are loved. We believe in you. I don't know if that's true, but we'll find out together in just a moment. The Los Angeles Rams minus 10.5 on the road. Both the minus and the plus is minus 110, plus 480 on the money line for the Carolina Panthers, minus 650 for the Los Angeles Rams. The over is 46.5. The under minus 115. The over is minus 105. Now, one of my most proud picks, or I should use probably proper English, one of the picks that I take the most pride in is when I predicted the Panthers to beat the Rams. I can't remember what the previous week was, but the Rams were off of this incredible win where everyone was pumping their tires, and I just felt like it was a guaranteed letdown spot, and I firmly believed in it, and it came to pass. I don't know. Minus 10.5 is a lot of points. The Rams should win this game fairly comfortably. Why am I reluctant to crown the Rams in this spot? I think experience clearly favors the Rams by a million miles. That goes from the players on the field to the coaches on the sidelines. I think this is Rams all day. But man, this Panthers team, they do not go down quietly. They just don't. They find a way to be scrappy. They find a way to hang around. I mean, it should be easier to take plus points in this spot. I think I am going to go plus Carolina, or sorry, plus 10.5 here for Carolina. I don't know, man. I feel like this might be more of a battle than we're being led to believe. I think the only other thing, the thing that I will say that I really do love about the Rams, obviously we know their players, their wide receivers and their quarterback and the coach. Like we get all that. I genuinely believe that this team believes that if they beat the Eagles last year, they win the Super Bowl. I really think they believe that, and I really do believe this is some unfinished business type of sentiment here. Um, so that might come back to bite me, but I'm leaning Carolina plus 10.5, and I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, you know what? My lean is also Carolina plus 10. I personally think that playoff games play a little bit closer to the vest. I will say there's a lot of respect being given to the Rams with that line. And a lot of disrespect to the Panthers, in my opinion. I think they have two running backs that can easily go for 100 yards. With
Yep.
Rico and Chuba Hubbard. Ted McMillan is a true number one. I think he crushed it this season. Um, I think if anything, they're pointing for me. I think what they're doing is pointing to that defense and just how prolific the Rams offense was this season, and saying, okay, this is at least a 2-touchdown victory. That's what the books are telling me. That's what the books are telling me. That's what the vibes are telling me. But with that being said, I mean, Carolina did beat this team earlier this season. I think that They do have a little bit of a kind of like a, David and Goliath situation feel to it. And I think they're going to make it competitive. I don't see a victory here. Um, but at least for the vibes, they're at home. They were better at home than they were on the road. I do love the pieces that they have offensively to make this a fight. But yeah, I mean, Rams definitely win, but 10 points. Like, they got a rookie kicker over there. I mean, granted, half the Carolina Panthers have never been to the playoffs, but in a really key spot, the
Is it
Rams have
only
a rookie
half?
kicker. Well, I can actually give you the exact number.
Can you?
They dress 53, right?
I'll take the
Okay.
over.
31,
I'll take the over on that.
31 players have never played in a postseason game,
There
including
you
their
go.
quarterback. So,
Hell yeah.
shade
And I
over half.
mean, he's a fascinating piece to all of this because number one, I'm really happy for the kid. I'm really happy for
Oh,
the
yeah.
kid. I think that he really did fall victim. And like, listen, he obviously hasn't played well in various spots over the last, few years. Obviously, I also think when he was drafted into a toxic environment. I just think I we could go on and on about the whole dynamic of that football team from the head office right down to the locker room. And I think he's finally in a better situation. Um, that being said, this is your classic case of I don't believe you. I don't believe in you. I don't believe in you. Play well, play well, play well. Okay, I believe in you. Lay an egg. That's just what this guy does, man. Like, you just refuse to believe in him, and then you finally give in and believe in him, and then it's just like he gets shut out
Yeah.
against like some team that they should have won by 2 touchdowns. I
He
can't
lost.
remember.
They lost to the Saints twice this year. They
Yeah,
lost to the Saints twice this year. And
which is
granted,
hilarious.
the Saints finished on a 4-game winning streak. They were cooking. They were feeling themselves great. They may have their QB1 and Shook. Great. But you shouldn't lose to them twice in a year if you're playing them twice. You barely should lose to them once. So, to your point, they're
I
definitely
do
not
love
there, but I mean, they're in the playoffs. Give them some
I
respect.
do love that. Just one more kick at this division before we move on. The Panthers lost to the Saints twice and lost to the Bucks in a win or win and in situation for them, and they still won the division. Somehow I just love it, man. It's such
Yeah.
a tire fire, such a mess. But I am happy for the kid, and I'm happy for their fans as well. All right, moving on. Green Bay in Chicago Saturday night, and there are only 2 home teams this weekend that are favored. And this is one situation where I just don't agree. And I understand you follow the money and blah blah blah. I get it. I'm just saying Chicago beats you. They have a better record. And quite frankly, I am buying what the Bears are selling way more. Or maybe a better way to put it, like, are the Bears a good team? Like, next year, are we confident no matter what happens this season? Are we confident in saying the Bears are for real? I don't know. Right now, I trust this Bears team more than I trust the Packers. If I'm saying right now, I the Bears are still a question mark for me when it comes to, I think this year has been magical. I think that Williams found a coach that I think it's obviously a match made in heaven right now. I still need another year before I fully buy in on this team for the future. Um, I don't know, man. What say you? I don't. Um, it's still a good defensive unit for the Packers, even with Parsons out. You know, Love is back, but he's been out, had time out, injury. Um, I don't know, man. I just really think the Bears are riding a high right now, and um, it goes through Chicago, right? Up until Seattle, obviously. Um, but you're in Chicago, you're on the road. This should be Chicago favored. I'll take the +1.5, and um, I'll probably take the -102 as well to set this up really quickly. Green Bay -1.5 is -105, +1.5 for the Bears, -115, -116 on the Packers money line, -102 for the Bears. 44.5 -115, and the under is -105. Where you at, Bears, Packers?
Yeah, give me the Bears here.
Yeah.
My group chat's been crapping all over the Bears are fraudulent, and shout out to Jordan. Jordan can vouch. Everybody in the group chat, the Bears are fraudulent. The shoe's gonna fall eventually, and I'm sitting here thinking, I was like, am I watching the same team? Am I watching the same team? Caleb is almost 4,000 yards, 27-7 is touchdown to interception ratio. You got two backs who can go for 100 yards at any given point. Like two tight ends that can block and catch the ball. Like, what am I missing? Like, Packers defense, pretty solid. Packers defense without Michael Parsons hasn't been solid. They've limped into the playoffs. They've lost 4 straight. What am I missing in this situation that people are just thinking, yeah, we're still going to take the Packers. The Packers still own the Bears. Like, hello? What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't get it. And they may get Romeo Odunze back for this game too. So like I'm saying to myself, like, there's just, I don't think it's such a foregone conclusion that most people, otherwise we wouldn't even be talking about, there wouldn't even be mention of what the Packers do as far as their head coaching situation if the Bears didn't have some chance of winning this game, if that makes sense. Like, we wouldn't even talk about the potential of Michael Ford not being the coach for the Packers if they had no shot. No, give me the Bears here. I don't even know why they're not favored.
Yeah, to me that's silly. I don't really know either. I mean, listen, man, I just look at the schedule, okay? Like, let's work backwards. They lose a game, which was hilarious that both them and the Eagles were like, we don't care. We don't want the 2 seed. and you know, both teams lost, ending in the Bears playing the Packers. I think from an Eagles perspective, we're going to talk about the Eagles in a few minutes. From an Eagles perspective, I would rather play the Niners. I think the Niners defense is a kind of a softer starting point for the Eagles because that offense is still the biggest question mark that I've ever seen. So yeah, anyway, you lose to the Lions in a Week 18 game that you didn't really want anyway. You lose 42-38 to the Niners in a game where I thought, from the people that I talk to, from the podcast that I listen to, from the people that I read, I thought that the vibes, not even vibes, the conversation was more about how impressive the Bears were than on the Niners winning that game. Like, there was just so much chat about, well, the Bears, they lost, but man, they hung with them and all this chat. They beat the Packers the week before. They beat the brakes off the Browns the week before. They lose another game against the Packers that they were really impressive. That was Thanksgiving, if I remember correctly. No, the week after Thanksgiving. Then they beat the Eagles Black Friday. They beat the Steelers, the Vikings, Giants, the Bengals game. That was that game 47-42. Like that was another like there were these wins where the defense was like, whoo. But what Williams was able to do and what the position that Johnson was able to put the offense in order to win these games with high scores. It's just a really impressive vibe with this team, man. And it does what worries me about this spot is just that it's like I feel like we're all kind of leaning this way, which can often be a little bit concerning. But I'm right there with you, Jordan in the chat. I had the Bears falling on the shoe. Never heard that phrase before, but I'm here for it. But they proved me wrong against the Niners, Lions, and Packers. Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. Again, don't know exactly what that means, but I think I understand. I think I understand where you're going with it.
The sentiment.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Anything more on this game, Joe?
No. We're good to move on.
All right. Sunday slate: Buffalo Bills -1.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. -1.5 for Buffalo. This is another one. Josh Allen. Is it safe for me to say Josh Allen is the only reason why the Bills are favored in this game? Because what we've seen, this should be Jacksonville favored at home. It's not. -1.5 Bills, -102, +1.5 Jacksonville is -120, -108 for Buffalo. Both ways, -108, which is something that you rarely see. Usually it's -110 both ways, but today it's -108. Really high total. 51.5 at -115 is the over, and -105 is the under. This is, and I said this last week, I will say it again. This is the team, in off seasons. That's the beautiful thing about the off season in the NFL is you feel a certain way and you have a certain vibe and you say a bunch of things, and sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong. And there is not anything that I can recall anyway that I was more wrong about than Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team, they have not just been winning, they have been winning, like winning against everybody. And Trevor Lawrence has done what he has had to do. I mean, I'm not, sitting here saying he's an MVP candidate or nothing like that, but he's done what he's needed to do. You look at this, you know, let me see here to get this fully right. At the end of week 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. At the end of week 10, they were 5-4. 5-4, end of week 10. And they haven't lost since. And now it's you look at the schedule, they better not have lost at least lost too much. They beat the Chargers in a big win. They beat the Cardinals, beat the Titans, both those games on the road, by the way. Beat the Colts, beat the Jets, beat Denver at home, which was like the we're here game. That was the game where it's like we're for real and we're here now. And then beat the Colts and the Titans to end the season. Really impressed with what I've seen from Jacksonville, man. I think that their defense is better. I think as a whole, their offense is more talented. I think the Bills have Josh Allen, and that's what puts my head in a blender with this game. Like I said, I picked the Bills to win this Super Bowl.
Kind of losing you there. How we doing? Oh, hold on, chat, while we're waiting for Mark to climb back in here. Yeah, looking at this game, Bills Jaguars, like for me, outside of a superhuman performance by um Cook and Allen, I don't really see how this is a situation where they're walking out of Duval without a win. That just me personally. Outside of a superhuman performance, and it's not like we haven't seen it before from him. Like I've seen a game where he ran for 3 touchdowns and passed for 3 touchdowns, but the microcosm of the Buffalo defense, pretty solid against the pass, completely ass against the run. Like completely. So for me, it's like you got a guy like you got ATN back there. You got this Bashal Tutin guy that is like this jack of all trades back that they found in the later rounds in the draft for the Jaguars. And I'm saying to myself, like, no one knew who Parker Washington was heading into the season, and this guy's their leading receiver. You had Brian Thomas Jr., who you thought was going to have like another solid season in his second
I
year.
did.
Jacoby Myers via trade has been super, super solid. Yet here we are getting into the playoffs. And if we were to look at who's the leading receiver for the Jaguars, it's Parker Washington. They've done what they've done without the second pick of the draft in Travis Hunter, who's injured for the rest of the season. So it's like, I will agree. For me, the 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 Broncos game was the game where I was like, oh, wait a minute, they might actually be for real. And outside of a human, completely out of body experience by Davis Mills, they would have been on a longer win streak than they are right now. And then people always say, like, listen, you want to be playing your best football at this time of year. And I'm kind of glad they didn't get the 1 seed because they could just pick up the very next week and keep on running. I think
Yeah.
a week layoff, while they would have been, great to heal up some guys, man, if we're winning at this rate, I just want to keep playing football. Just keep play football. And I think for me, the fact that they've been on this win streak and they've been playing their best football the second half of the season does not bode well for the Bills. I think the Bills, they might have wanted to see anybody other than the Jaguars, to be honest.
Oh man, I like honestly like. So first of all, thank you for carrying that on for me. I listen. I am going to pick the Bills. You are the voice of reason. Everyone, especially with gambling, should listen to you. I am picking the Bills specifically based on being stubborn. I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to stick with my pick. I
Yeah,
don't. Do
I
I
can
think
roll
they're
with
going to
that.
win this game? I'm going to pick them and we'll see what happens. To me, it doesn't matter who the Bills would have played in this first round. I wouldn't trust it. Doesn't matter. Now, would they have a better chance of beating Pittsburgh than Jacksonville? Yes. I still wouldn't trust it going into Pittsburgh against that defense, who admittedly has been Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know, man. Like I think you're right. I think the vibes on Buffalo are down. Now listen, if I have to make, and this is the beautiful thing about picking Buffalo. You can talk about the pros, the cons, talk about the defense, talk about this, that. Josh Allen, who has been heroic in the playoffs and hasn't always got the result. I am choosing to be stubborn and stick with my pick. like I said, man, if the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, Josh Allen has to be Superman for 4 games. And I'm not saying he can't do it, but it's a tall order to say the least. Quickly before we move on, because we do have to move on, we got 15 minutes here left in the show, and we're going to get through these next 3 games. Before we move on, the total 51.5 high. How do you feel about this? Over?
This feels like it could be an over game. It could
Yeah,
be an over
it
game
does.
because if Buffalo's gonna have a chance, for me, and I'm saying that like they're the
Has to be high
underdogs and like
scoring.
they're lit. For me, I think they need to run it up.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think they need to run it up. And and it's gonna be on Allen because the Jaguars, if memory serves, is first against the run defensively.
Yeah.
So if they're gonna shut down James Cook and they're gonna make it an Allen experience, then I mean he's gonna have to be Superman, like you said. So
Yeah.
51.5, you're looking and they're gonna force him to pass the football. It sets up for potential over.
Yeah. The one thing that I think is in play here, Trevor Lawrence, 4,000 plus yards, 60.9% completion, 29 to 12 TD to interception ratio. Trevor Lawrence has stepped up his game big time. This is a really big spot. And I think it is in play that Trevor Lawrence goes back to a type of quarterback that you know what I mean? Like, this is legitimately like a turning point game for him, where if he comes out and he wins this game like convincingly, and it doesn't even have to be that convincing, man. Like, if he throws, 230 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, and they just ride on the running game, that's good enough for me. I'm just curious to see if we see a bit of the Trevor that we've been doubting all these years, or if he keeps on the pace that we've seen him play this season. All right, moving on. San Francisco in Philly. Philly -4.5, -120, +4.5 for the Niners, -102, -240. Eagles money line, +198 for the Niners. 44.5 is the total, -105 is the over, and the juice is going towards the under at -115. Quick little Philadelphia note. I have been to an Eagles game. I have been to a Flyers game. That is hockey for those of you who don't know the Flyers. And I can see this. The Leafs are currently playing the Philadelphia Flyers, and Scott Lawton for the Flyers is now on the Leafs. And when his name was announced, the entire congregation. This isn't. I mean,
That's what I heard. That's what I heard.
yeah, that's what I said.
Say.
It is a religion there, I suppose. The entire audience, crowd, the whole stadium golf clapped for him, which I think is just hilarious. That Philly, I'm telling you, any Philly sporting event, pick one, it's a must go to. Like, for 20,000 people to all be on the same page of just, it's just brilliance, and I love it so much. It's so funny. All right. All right. Let's move on. Eagles, Niners. Listen, man, am I the only one here who has no idea where to go with this, simply because where in the world is this Eagles, like, who, not even where in the world, who in the world is this Eagles offense? Like, the line is what it is. The total is what it is because of the Niners defense, right? Not in a good place. are we really convinced that this Eagles offense is able to clear a 4.5 spread against this team? Listen, man, the defense for the Eagles is one of the top units in the league. 1,000%. You were talking about Vic Fangio. I'm right there with you. Christian McCaffrey, for all the injuries that have plagued the San Francisco team on both sides of the ball, he's been relatively healthy all year, and he single-handedly won a lot of teams some fantasy championships this season. I'm very heavily leaning the points here. San Francisco plus 4.5. I as a fan, this is what we call an emotional hedge, Joe. As a fan, I would love to see if this Eagles offense was clicking the way it's supposed to, this is 10 points all day long. It should be based on the defense for the Niners right now. But I don't know. Like, you beat the Raiders and you beat who? What's that other team? Washington. Like, are we really convinced? Does that really make us convinced that this Eagles offense is back? If I was Sirianni, I would have played my starters last week. Not even for the 2 seed. I know you want to keep guys healthy and you weren't really playing for whatever. I want to get these guys reps still, man. I haven't seen it. You know? I don't know. To me, I'm still not convinced that this Eagles offense has it together right now. I'll take San Fran and the points. I think the Eagles can win this game. I'll tell you what, I think I said this last week too. I hate the Cowboys more than any other team in the whole wide world, and the Niners are a very close second. So please,
Cowboys
Eagles,
always taking it straight, bro.
please.
We're one of the few platforms that don't say anything about the Cowboys unless we have to. But unless we're gonna take a dig, because look, you're wearing your Eagles gear, I'm wearing my Giants gear. Obviously, if it comes up, poop on the Cowboys.
And it's because I have to. This isn't even about the Cowboys. I want people to know how much I hate the Niners too. This is I'm close. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's right there. But anyway, Joe, I'm talking in circles. Where you at with this game, man?
This for me is tough. And that's because of what I saw last week. Seattle ran all over the 49ers last week and pretty much gave them the blueprint that if they're going to stop Brock Purdy, stop this offense, pretty much what you do. One of the things you'll have to do is to keep them off the field. If their offense is the best part of their team, don't let them be on the field. And they have the ability to do that with a running quarterback, with a top flight running back. And here's where I do like that they did bench some of the starters last week, because Devontae did play last week against the Commanders. Yep. Tank Bigsby went for 75 yards and a tud.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And they just saw the Niners, a 2 running back system where Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker gashed him repeatedly and basically made it so simple for Darnold. Don't throw it in harm's way. Don't turn it over. Make the plays that need to be made. We should win the football game. San Francisco scored 3 points last week. Okay. And one, you could say, I think we're in agreement that Seahawks, one of the top defenses, right up there again with the Eagles. Fair to say, right? You're also going into a game without studs on the offensive side of the ball as far as catching the football. Listen, as great as McCaffrey is, he was their leading rusher and leading receiver. For me, that's a problem.
That's insane. Yeah.
I mean, I love the fact that he's, can receive the football and he's, a problem threat running and receiving. But I genuinely in my soul, I just don't feel like your running back should be your leading receiver. So with that being said, you've got a Quinyon Mitchell who pound for pound could be one of the best cover corners in our league right now. He has his pick on which guy to shut down because none of those guys are real super threats. Like nothing against Kendrick Bourne, nothing against Shawan Jennings, nothing against those guys. But your running backs leading you in receiving. So that to me, that tells me that your guys, if you're going up against a top flight defense like the Eagles, maybe your threat's not on the outside. Maybe your threat is Kittle. Maybe your threat is the running back out of the backfield. And I think they have the quickness in the linebacking core to where they may be able to match up with him in coverage if need be. So you're telling me that the blueprint is to have a really good run game. I'm getting my best lineman back in Lane Johnson.
Huge.
I've got two running backs.
Yes, that's right? Huge.
So that immediately tells me that all I got to do is maybe convert 40% of our third downs. Okay. Hurts keeps the ball out of harm's way. And you're running a tandem of Tank Bigsby, Saquon Barkley, and Jalen Hurts, and you're keeping the ball for at least 35 to 40 minutes. That's a recipe for success. My lean is the points with the Niners just because of the potential that they can score if you're having an off day. They may be able to get you on the second. What do I always say about the Philadelphia Eagles? The second cornerback situation has been the thing for me. I don't know if they've completely solved it, but I know that if they don't have to throw to Quinyon Mitchell, they're not going to throw to Quinyon Mitchell if they don't have to. Put the running back against a linebacker and see if those linebackers can cover McCaffrey for a full game. I think the Eagles win. They win by a field goal. I think it's going to be a grinded out type situation. As gettable as the 49ers defense is running the football, I do think Diamador, who's their top corner, a lot of people don't throw in his side of the football either. I think they're going to have him on A.J. Brown, and it's going to be very interesting if Devontae Smith can win his matchup, because that's going to be the weaker of the secondaries, whoever is the number 2 corner on the 49ers right now, because they just don't have the pass rush. They don't have the pass rush right now, and that offensive line for the Eagles is getting healthy at the right time. So if they win, I think it's going to be 35-minute time of possession. It's going to be one of those games you hate to watch. It's going to be ugly. It's going to suck, and they may win by a field goal. But I'm taking San Francisco plus the points.
I will say, too, not that I think Sirianni would get, but unless, I'm not saying that Sirianni would get fired, but unless this team makes it to the conference championship, I think there's problems. Like, this team is just because, and by problems, I mean problems with the fans, which there always is, problems with the media. Like, there's a lot of questions because this team has not looked good offensively for like 3 months.
That OC is gone to me. Like, regardless, absent a Super Bowl appearance, I think it's one and done for this guy.
If he was, no. Even if they make it to the Super Bowl and win, it is because of talent and Sirianni. Dude, it just hasn't worked. It's just been a disaster, and it's like the only situation in which they could have fired him before the playoffs, and I think people would have felt better.
Which is like, you know what?
It's like, so Yeah, exactly.
it.
All right, moving on. Let's go through it. I don't want to skim over, but we're getting to the end of the show, and we want to respect everyone's time. The Chargers and the Patriots. New England at home, -3.5, -110, +3.5 is the same. -198 Patriots, +166 Chargers. Oh, 6.5, -104 under. I just, to me, I really like this Patriots. Really simple for me. I really like this Patriots defense, and I am really concerned about. And obviously, Drake May is the topic of conversation. And as is Justin Herbert. I just to the MVP. In my opinion, and that obviously is a big part of this. But to me, it's very simple. Defense versus defense, and I'm taking the Pats on defense all day long. I'm taking 3.5 for the Patriots here. It's very simple.
Yeah, listen. If if they would have if they would have trusted Henderson a little bit sooner, he probably would have gotten to the 1,000-yard marker. As far as his season, I love Travion Henderson. I love the big playability.
Me too.
I love the fact that he did special teams too. He's a special teams problem as well. So like as he grows, as he gets more refined in this league, they may want to find a returner, because I believe Barkley also returned when he first got in the league. A lot of these guys that had that ability in college do it for like the beginning part of their career before they make sure that he's their number one, and then they want to take those reps away from them because they don't want him getting hurt on special teams. But I say all that to say that he's a very unique player, and he's going to be, I think, the best player on the field in this game. I think both defenses are pretty solid when they're clicking. My problem with the Chargers, though, Omarion Hampton hurt again. It looks like he's going to be going into this game questionable. While I like Vidal at running back, he did have splashes during this season. If you're going to put the game in Herbert's arms, with them not having the use of both their starting tackles, it's a recipe for disaster. I think that pass rush will be able to get to Herbert, and it's going to make him off platform, uncomfortable in the pocket. While I have seen his running ability this season, I think because of how stout this defense is and how good they are against the run, if it's going to be put in Herbert's hands, give me the Patriots 100%. I will take them minus the 3.5. I think they win by at least a touchdown. I think this is a statement game for them. It's like, hey, listen, this isn't going to be a flash in the pan. We've got our quarterback. We've got our coach. We have youth on this team. We have some veterans that we bought in the offseason. Get used to seeing us back here again. Sucks to suck. We may have another 15 years in us, and it starts here against the Chargers. And as a Giants fan, I'm okay with that.
DK 726. At DK 7726, Chargers are the definition of mediocre, I feel. I would agree with that. At this, I think that not only is the defense where it's at, but they got like that O-line is banged up. Like that O-line is not even close to what it's supposed to be, right? As far as never mind, like as far as like human being field, like that's not what it's supposed to be, right? So I just think the Chargers, I really like the future. Another quarterback, like at the beginning of the year, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, show me. Like why everyone's talking about Justin. I still don't know if I believe that, but before the season, it was like, he is? Really? Why? And I thought he had a good season considering. I think this is where the road ends. All right. Wrapping it up in Pittsburgh, minus 3.5. Another road favorite, minus 3.5. Meet plus 3. Sorry, that is 3. My apologies. Minus 3 is minus 108. Plus 3 for the Steelers, minus 138 on the Steelers money line, minus 164 for the Texans. 38.5 is the total, minus 110 both ways. This one, are you letting Sunday night? Are you letting Sunday night speak to you?
Bro.
Are you letting Sunday night sway you here or what? Joe, where you at, man?
Bro. That over under is so hilarious to me, bro.
Dude,
38 and a half
is
crazy.
crazy. I know.
I saw a Jaguars-Texans game last season, okay, at 40 and a half. And I thought, nah, that's about right. 38 and a half is crazy, bro. Like crazy. And that speaks to the Houston defense. Honestly,
I know.
that speaks to the Houston defense. I was watching the Pat McAfee show yesterday, and they were giving out the Butler, Darius Butler was giving out his awards for the his secondary, because he played secondary in the league. Shout out to my Broward brother. And he honestly, as he was giving his awards for the best players in the secondary this season, he said multiple times that he could give it to every member of the Houston Texans secondary if he really wanted to. That's how good the secondary is. I mean, you got Lassiter, you got Petrie, you got Derek Stingley Jr. Like these guys each have, I think, 4 interceptions. Like, not only are they ball hawks, but when it comes to tackling you, they're putting you down on the ground. Okay, and there's some guys out there in the league that we know that aren't. They may be ball hawks, but they're not great tacklers. These guys on the secondary can do both, which is why we're looking at a total of 38 and a half. Because when it comes to the Steelers offense, it's DK Metcalf and then who else? Honestly, Freiermuth, he's a hit or miss. Okay, Darnell Washington is like hard to say that a guy that size is a gadget guy, but like they only pull him out like for special situations. I feel like there's only like special plays where like he happens to get open for like a 25-yard play, and it's because he had been blocking for like half the game, and they just put him out in a route on a random play, and then he gashes the team because no one expected it. Houston's defense is just way too stout. I think that line is about right. This is hard for me, though, because Aaron Rodgers hasn't been in the playoffs in a couple of years, and it's like, man, do I want to go out on losing a home playoff game? Do I really? Is that really? Do I want to go out on a home playoff loss? Bro, I'm just telling you, and he's going to get DK back this game. Obviously, Derek's probably going to follow him the whole game. I think they're going to lock him up. So then it just becomes, okay, for me, whichever running game is more successful. And honestly, I trust the Houston backs more than I do the Pittsburgh backs, if you can believe that. I just haven't seen it consistently for a whole year. For the Steelers, they'll have a big game here, a big game there, but as a balance, I just think Houston will be able to control the ball better. I think that their offensive line has improved as the season's gone on. This is another team like San Francisco, like where you get to the end of the season, it's like, oh crap, they have this many wins, and they also had to have a backup quarterback win them some games this season. And when you start thinking about that and you start thinking about what time of year it is, it's defensive football time of year. And the best defense in this game is going to be Houston's. So I'm going to take Houston minus the 3 with a small hope that, hey, if Aaron comes up with some magic, that'd be cool. I wouldn't be mad at it. They're going to get thumped with whoever they play next. But out of all the division winners, though, this is the game they had the best. This was the game they had the best chance in. Like if they were playing a wild card team, this was the one they had the best chance of beating, in my opinion.
Are you talking about Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I'm talking about Pittsburgh. Like if out of the wild card teams that
Yeah.
got in,
Yeah.
because of how much I don't trust Houston offensively, this was their best shot.
And I think that's Houston starts the season 3-5. They haven't lost since. They have been a terrific story. Obviously, on the backs of the defense. What I find interesting is, and I don't know why, like I watch football every Sunday in this league pretty closely, at least on Sundays, and to me, when I think of Texans, I think of them destroying teams and blowing teams out, and really that's just because of the defense. Because if you play a little game and look back since week 10, okay, they haven't lost since week 9, where they lost to Denver. And even that game, they lost 18-15, right? They beat San Fran 26-15. They beat the Jags 36-29 in week 10. Massive score, right? Since then, week 11, they beat the Titans 16-13, Bills 23-19, Chiefs 20-10 in a game, by the way, that the Chiefs, as soon as the Texans scored 20, they were done. And the Chiefs should have won that game. Some poor decisions that led to the Chiefs not winning that game. Then they Cardinals 40-20, whip-de-doo. They beat the Raiders 23-21, Chargers 20-16, 18, 38-30. That game is what the point is this is like 1st to 20. That's what it feels like. It's like whoever can hit first wins. To me, I'm with you. Honestly, the Texans offense or like defense, but this offense has been, and I think CJ Stroud has really showed us like that he is back. A good season. I'm not trying to put down the offense. I'm just saying, like, in my mind, it's just not the way it's been. I'm taking Pittsburgh, and I don't know, man. There's something telling me in Pittsburgh. The story goes that Pittsburgh gets into the playoffs, barely 500, and they get the break. And I just don't think that's the story here. I think, and they usually, because they win the division like awfully or whatever, not every time with Baltimore, you know what I mean? I think, man, I'm 2 points, but by kickoff Monday night, I might be taking the Pittsburgh money line here. I just think that the defense has just covered a lot of unknown variables here with Houston. And now that's very ironic considering that Rodgers is the most variable, like who frig knows what to expect from that Pittsburgh offense. But all right, here we go. Awesome, man. Well, before off, You want to give a Super Bowl pick?
No, you know what? I can give a Super Bowl pick. For me, uh, and it's just because it's a vibe pick, but also it's because I don't think the world at large is ready or has an appetite to see this again. Um, but I'm looking at those Patriots and I'm just like second seed. They're gonna have home playoff games, and if the
Oh,
Broncos make it, like I'm thinking, man, the one thing the world's gonna hate to see is if this team is back. If this team is back, this is the one thing they don't want to see is this team being back. So for me, Patriots would be the AFC representative, and I think I think we're on pace to see a potential Rams Eagles rematch in the NFC title for me. And if it goes down that way, I got the Rams this time around. So I think it's gonna and then again, I don't know how it'll be the third time in recent memory that these two hook up again. But I got Rams Patriots for me.
sticking with my narrative of stayed in the preseason. Buffalo Eagles in the Super Bowl. If I earlier I said that I'm picking the Bills because I picked them to win this, to go to the Super Bowl. That narrative, then I think the Eagles repeat. And I think we can do a whole show on why that may or may not be possible. But if I have to stick with what I'm saying, then I do think
Yeah.
that the Eagles can repeat against the Bills. Now, if I have to go off of that and be an objective journalist in my life, I think, man, keeping me back, picking the Eagles, Rams, like you said, and picking the to go to the Super Bowl. What's really keeping me back is just the unknown of that offense. The Eagles are more than capable right now to go to the Super Bowl, but they're not because that offense is a question mark. I think there's something special about it. And I think the Bears, I think if I have to
How
go,
cool would
if
that be?
if I have to go away from my Eagles, which I do think the Eagles can. I'm not saying if I have to go away from it, I think Bears, Pats, Super Bowl. I think the Bears find a way. I just believe in this. I'm really have a beautiful wife that I love. I kind of want to see Ben Johnson with his shirt off again. I kind of want to see it. And so
Vibes are
pick the
high in there, man. There, there are
Bears,
fewer
and
places where the
we'll
vibes
go from there.
are higher than the Bears. That's Bears. Honestly, if you think about it, just to close this out, like that same energy that the Vikings had last year with Sam Darnold in that locker room, like those are the vibes that I get in this locker room with the Bears. That same like family hype, everyone pitching in, them finding ways to win in games that they have no business winning to the outside world. Like that's the locker room vibes that I pick up from what I when I watch them after the game. So I like that pick. I like it.
And and you know what, man? It's funny that you say Sam Darnold because I think the thing holding me back on the Seahawks is this Eagles, which is a real testament to where the Eagles are when I come Darnold to a Super Bowl. Sam Darnold, what are we gonna see?
Yeah.
Playoff Sam. See, I think that's a real. This Seattle defense is Seattle. They can be in the Super Bowl just as much as any other team. It's just hard to buy into it without knowing what do we got. what's coming down the pipe from Sam.
Which Sam are we getting?
Arnold. That's right. Joining us. We've been consistent. We've been back. Numbers are starting to come back, and that's really great to see. We really appreciate all of you. Just a few housekeeping things before we wrap it up. The NHL show is back on Monday. Me and my friend Zach Martin, writers, and the Locked On Hurricanes podcast. He joined me. Great episode. A lot of fun talking Olympic rosters, talking about the Hurricanes and the Metro division. 5 for the first time since the preseason. We are finally back on Spotify, so you can check on X and on Spotify. This episode will be on Spotify shortly next week, and the NHL show will be next Monday. Before we take off, let everybody know, brought to you by First Round Collectible for 10% off your order, including 10% off the WWE WWF sale, 25% off selected cards. Total Apex Sports, Total Apex Media. Everybody have a great weekend. We will see you next